You're now tuned in to the Militant Minded Talk radio show with your host, Mic Militant. Yes, sir, the topic is hip hop. And, like I stated before previously, I will be discussing different topics relating to hip hop, the fashions, the trends, everything. But from my perspective, I'm not going to take you on a long, deep abyss of a rabbit hole of nonsense. So, with that being said, I want to give you a little introduction to who I am. I go by the name Mic Militant. That's my pseudonym and my artist name. And what made me come up with the name Mic Militant was because on the mic, I'm known to keep it militant. Everybody has their own styles. Everybody has their own flavors and their own waves. Mine's is a calm, cool, and collective, but at the same time, I'm hitting you with my experiences, my knowledge of what hip-hop means to me. And hip-hop is a deep spiritual thing for me because it was times in my life when I was going through things that hip-hop kept me sane. Like certain lyricists would enlighten my brain and give me a feeling of self-worth because it was times growing up in the South Bronx that tomorrow wasn't really promised. You was lucky to make it to see another day. And when I tell people this that are not from New York City as a whole or just living in the borough of New York City, how the birthplace of hip hop started and I was a part of it growing up. And I mean, a part of it was a part of my life. It was every day breathing, sleeping, listening to different hip hop styles, different hip hop artists. And it was a nostalgia just to hear certain music. And then, as I grew older and mature, I started to realize some of this stuff we was listening to and the people that was spitting these lyrics, their intentions was kind of misunderstood to me. And what I mean by that is, for example, the movie Beat Street. When I was a kid, I thought I was supposed to be in the movie Beat Street because I had my own moves. And I'm like, man. And then as I grew older and watched it again, when I watched it, I was like, wait a minute. Everything regurgitates itself. Like what's going on now, they was doing back then. And people are quick to judge the next generation of artists and talk about how weird they are and they're not in tune with the music and the artistry. But neither was the pioneers, some of the pioneers. And going back to Beat Street, when I saw Beat Street recently, I said, man, I was fooled, man. Especially near the end of the movie when a group called African Bambaataa and I think the Furious Five or something dealing with Africa Bambaataa, I saw dudes with outfits that I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I was never with that type of style growing up, listening to hip hop. We didn't dress like that, walk around with space, what's that, George Clinton shades on and walking around with grown men in diapers and stuff and wearing different costumes. And it was like, we used to listen to that, but we listened to the music without the visual. But when they brought the visual to the music, it was very scary for me. And I had to stop what I was doing with my children and letting them watch that because I'm like, wow, this blows my mind. My children are laughing like, who are these guys? Who dresses like that? Who is that? And then it made me realize that, hip hop always been felonious in some aspect. And I'm talking from an artist perspective, because the name Mic Militant means I take my craft very seriously. I'm not going to throw out just anything. But at the end of the day, I'm not really throwing it out. I'm just expressing myself. And that's what hip hop was to me, a form of expression without having to say it on a context of English or language arts and things of that nature. So, I learned to be creative with my words. And as I grew up, I first sounded like these people that I don't really respect to a degree on a hip hop level, but probably on a personal level, they probably good people, and I probably could relate. But when it comes to this hip hop was educational. It was okay to hear a hip hop song that was educational. It was okay to hear a hip hop song where there was brotherhoods and other crews could link up and do songs together, and there wasn't no nonsense involved in that, and if it was, you kept it on another level. You didn't bring it to the world and say, hey, I don't like this person because he got orange on his Adidas stripes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't go to war because his Kangol was to the left or his Kangol was to the right, or this crew wore glasses, so we don't like this crew. So it was like, now it's more of a destructive path. Artists are getting murdered. Artists are just dying, whether it's natural causes. And it's like, hip hop was supposed to be like a workforce. And what I mean by that is hip hop was supposed to have different criterias where you would have to get this $1 million record deal, but $25,000 goes to your medical insurance. You know what I'm saying? Just a case. $25,000 more goes to your life insurance. So God forbid they don't have those types of things. And that's what hip hop was. Hip hop was community. Hip hop was caring for other people around your circle, other people outside of your circle. But now it's all screwed up, and I'm here to address this. As an artist, I feel it's my duty to take y'all down a timeline of this hip hop journey from my perspective. So without further ado, I thank everybody for tuning in to the Militant Minded Talk radio show with your host, Mic Militant. I'll be back after these brief messages. Peace. Mic Militant. Mic Militant.